Brock Bowers and Najee Harris are two of the biggest winners following free agency. We discuss why, plus reveal more winners on today's episode of Locked On Fantasy Football.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NFL fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Michelle Magdziuk, and when I'm not doing this, I'm a researcher and fantasy analyst with the NFL Network.
And I'm your other co-host, Vinnie Iyer. I'm not doing this. I'm writing about NFL fantasy and betting for sportingnews.com.
Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. All right, today we are going to discuss the biggest winners following free agency, right? We're a couple weeks out of free agency. All the big signings are pretty much done, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So prior to getting to the draft, we have some big winners here, and obviously they could be losers after the draft, but for now, they are winners, and the number one winner has to be Brock Bowers, who is already the tight end 2 as a rookie, playing with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell and Desmond Ridder. And now they actually go and the Raiders go and trade for a quarterback in Geno Smith, which is a massive upgrade. So he has to be the clear-cut number one winner right now.
Yeah, and interesting enough, I was looking at some of the rankings across positions. He's crept into the top 15 overall in drafts right now. So he's where Travis Kelce kind of used to be, right? A potential borderline first-rounder, early second-round pick in a lot of league formats, especially if you're looking half point and full point. Brock Bowers is getting a lot of love and buzz. And look, the quarterback is one thing, but also the Raiders didn't really try to get another receiver here. So we'll see whoever the receiver is going to be to help Jacoby Myers and replace Devontae Adams from last year is going to be a young, inexperienced player. We know Bowers, however, delivered as a young, inexperienced player, but chances of a wide receiver coming in, maybe it's Ted McMillan, we'll see, and being as productive as Bowers is slim, right? I mean, that was just an anomaly. I mean, for tight ends to have a rookie season that big, but also for receivers in general. So he should remain the go-to guy. Geno Smith in this offense, I think, is going to look to him a lot. Chip Kelly has used the tight end plenty in the past, especially a guy that he can move around and is athletic and can be a hybrid wide receiver. So this is all good. The Chip Kelly hire, Geno Smith at quarterback, the situation here where he still has to dominate the targets on this team. So everything is lining up really well for Brock Bowers, even better than we thought. And he's the clear-cut tight end one on the board over everybody. Just don't think about it. He's the new guy over Travis Kelce.
I will say, I do think George Kittle is in strong contention for that tight end 1 spot, just because he's in a similar situation with the 49ers. We've seen him do it. He was the tight end 1 this last year. But going back to Bowers in particular, he scored 12.2 points per game last year in half PPR, right? So just behind Kittle at 13.2. But in the 8 games that he played with Aiden O'Connell, who is clearly the guy that he performed best with. And I do think Aiden O'Connell, out of that group of guys, Ridder and Minshew, is the most accurate, probably best passing quarterback among those guys. But he averaged 14.6 points per game in half PPR in those 8 games with Aiden O'Connell. Only 10 points in the games with Minshew and Ridder. So when we saw him play with a competent quarterback, a somewhat competent quarterback, he put up massive, massive numbers. So I am completely fine with people wanting to take Brock Bowers first off the board for tight ends this year. I'm fine with him going late in the first round. When we did our mock draft earlier this week, Kate and I for on this show, Brock Bowers did go at like the 109 or something like that. So he is going very, very early, and he deserves to be going that early. Now, the second biggest winner, I've talked a lot about him, so I want you to put in your say a little bit more here. Najee Harris to the Chargers. It's just such a big win because we were basically killing him off, like caring about him for fantasy, and then he lands in such a good spot.
Yeah, we know it turned around J.K. Dobbins' career last year, and they moved on. They haven't really thought about bringing back Dobbins. They cut Gus Edwards. So this backfield was cleared, and we know that Jim Harbaugh wanted him badly on the team. I mean, he went around with his high school shirt on looking to get Najee Harris. So he really was targeting Harris. So that means if you're targeting a guy, you really want to use him and turn him into a feature back. I think he was excited to get him because maybe he was a victim, Harris was, of maybe some bad blocking, offenses that didn't work altogether, just maybe lack of confidence as the team looked at Jalen Warren a little bit. So maybe just not the full vote to be the lead guy in Pittsburgh that he's going to get fully in Los Angeles here. And a run-heavy offense with Greg Roman. We've seen a lot of people produce well in this offense. So again, Harbaugh wanted him. He wants to power run the football. This is what he does. Set up the deep passing game and work Justin Herbert in that way. So it's going to be probably a Harris first type offense here for the Chargers. And I think they expect to be better defensively here. So maybe that running game defense, old school pounded formula a little bit more here. And Harris is the back who can hold up. As Michelle has mentioned, he's very durable despite all the kind of questions about benching. It's not because he's hurt or banged up. He plays through a lot. Keep in mind he had that kind of that knee procedure or something, and he was playing through that. So he's a tough dude. He's big, strong, and I think that's the type of back that's going to thrive here. I don't think it's crazy to think he could have like 12 touchdowns and like 1,500 yards in this offense. I mean, that's how big of a spike it could be. So Najee Harris is probably a little bit better value right now at running back than Bowers is at tight end.
And 1,500 scrimmage yards might sound crazy for Najee, but he's had at least 1,200 in every season of his career. Like, the production hasn't been electric at all, but like, he is overhated, right? For what he's done, because the fantasy points just don't come regularly. But I mean, there is something to it that he's the first player to have at least 1,000 rushing yards in each of his first 4 seasons since Chris Johnson did it from 2008 to 2011. And there is also a reason that he's one of just 8 players to have at least 1,000 yards and 6+ rushing touchdowns in each of his first 4 seasons. And the other six of the other 7 guys are Hall of Famers, and then also Adrian Peterson, who will also be a Hall of Famer. So I don't want to just say Harris, just throw away everything he's done and say, don't look at that. Like, obviously it matters that he hasn't been great for fantasy, but at the same time, I do think we're over dramatizing how bad he's been. And he's going to have way more scoring opportunities with the Chargers, and that's all he's been missing. He's just been in a very, very, very bad offense for a while now. Since the only time he played in a competent one was his rookie season, and he's the running back 4. We will move on to more winners, including Caleb Williams, Jaxson, Smith-Njigba. We got a few more to get to here. We'll do that right after a quick break.
All right, this episode of Locked On Fantasy Football is brought to you by Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more experts ready to help take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable for your business. Finding the right talent is always key, and they're going to help you do that at Upwork. You get fast and easy hiring. You can post a job. It's free and simple, and within a day, you'll get qualified candidates to choose from, and it's cost-effective growth. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps you find affordable, top-tier freelancers to scale your business efficiently. Visit Upwork.com right now to post your job for free. That's Upwork, 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 Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today.
This episode is also brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. It's also super easy to do it with your partner. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track and share personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. It's really nice that it's just all in one place, so you don't have to juggle multiple apps. You could just use Monarch, and it handles everything with tracking your spending and even coming up with a plan for long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKDOWNNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKDOWNNFL for half off your first year. our number 3 winner following free agency, and he probably could have been higher, right? He's an option for the first or second slot, but there's a lot of winners right now. It's Caleb Williams. I mean, how much more could he have asked for? You got the top head coach hire in Ben Johnson. That's an offensive coach. They fixed up his offensive line. He still has all the weapons, right? It could not have gone better for him so far in the offseason.
Yeah, and it's funny, and they didn't really add too much more in way of skill players. I mean, we're still waiting how they're going to replace Keenan Allen. Maybe they don't do it, and they just stick with what they have, given they have DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Cole Kmet. Those are 3 weapons, plenty. They can look for a young guy maybe to have that, but then they had Joe Thuney and Drew Dahlman and Jonah Jackson in the middle, shore up the situation there. Basically, they don't really have too many weaknesses left on that offensive line. It was a very good run-blocking offensive line. Now it is pivoting to also being a very good pass protecting offensive line, especially in the middle. So less pressure in his face. Ben Johnson making better use of the weapons. Everything is there for Caleb Williams. I think why maybe he came in a little bit behind Bowers and Harris is because I think we have less doubts that Bowers and Harris are going to deliver. Caleb Williams, the question is Caleb Williams. Is he going to put it all together here? Is he going to adjust to the new offense in year 2 pretty well? Will he need a year to work it out? So that's really the question with Williams. But in terms of talent, physical ability, being able to throw the ball downfield, run when needed, and take off and get those numbers when we're looking for padding the stats a little bit, he's got everything, right? I mean, those guys in the middle are also going to help him kind of scramble, right? If they want to do some designed runs with Ben Johnson, playing off what they have in the running game, that's going to be great. So I see this team opening up the offense a little bit more. They didn't have a power back so far in free agency. Everyone thought they were going to do that, right? So that means they want to be fast, quick, get guys in the open field. So I think this is going to be a pass-heavier offense, and they're going to be able to execute it better because he's not going to be under siege back there, and they're pretty well protected.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be too high on Caleb Williams. Maybe I do. I wasn't high on him last year, but with Ben Johnson, with what they've done for the offensive line, like it was not all the offensive line's fault. Let's get that out there, right? He held onto the ball way too long, and that's why he took as many sacks as he did. But the offensive line was still bad, and both can be true, right? So, yes, Ben Johnson has to fix that part of Caleb Williams' game and has to get him to get the ball out quicker. But I do think he will get that because the scheme will call for that, right? And guys are going to be wide open for him. It's not like Caleb Williams wanted to hold on to the ball, right? It's just I don't think the system was that great. There weren't guys just wide open all over the field. So I think it's going to be completely different for him. But then also he's like, if you're going to play behind a line that's much, much better, then you will be able to hold on to it for a little bit longer at times and not always get killed anytime you do that and try to, make a play, an extended play. When things aren't going as planned. But we definitely saw his big flash games last year. He finished as a quarterback 6 on the week 5 times last year. Bo Nix, who was the running back or the quarterback 8 on the season as a rookie, he only did that 3 times. So we did see huge flashes from Caleb Williams, and then just the other games were so incredibly bad. So I do expect a huge second year for him, and everything is going great for him so far in this offseason. Our 4th biggest winner, Jaxson Smith-Njigba. He was a wide receiver 22 in points per game last year, by far his best season. 1,130 yards, 6 touchdowns. It's a huge win for him in terms of like volume, right? Because DK Metcalf's gone, Tyler Lockett's gone. It's really him, and he could easily get 150, 160 targets next year. He's pretty much the main guy. And they did change the offensive coordinator, so that could be an upgrade. But can Sam Darnold do this for him? Like, is it going to work out as well as it did with the Vikings and with Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, I mean, we have to figure that out. I mean, you have basically 2 receivers here now with Cooper Kupp in the mix. So when you have Cooper Kupp and Jaxson Smith-Njigba, I think everyone's going to look at the Kupp signing and seeing that being impactful. I do not see that being impactful. I think Kupp is an older wide receiver. He is now a number 2. So I think some people are going to look at, Kupp sells something left and he's going to come there. But he's going to be the complementary receiver. It's much like the Puka Nacua Cooper Kupp situation that developed last year. So when you look at Kupp, again, he has something left, but he's not the same receiver who can get open. Jaxson Smith-Njigba is the guy. And also, there's a little bit of crossover in the roles, right? I mean, they both can be inside. They both can be outside. I just think JSN is the ascending talent here in this offense. I think they'll make sure to get the ball to these guys a lot, right? But Smith-Njigba is just an ascending player, and that's the bottom line, is that everyone's going to look at Kupp. I have no interest in Kupp. I think it's great, actually, for JSN that Kupp is there because it's a veteran that's going to draw some attention. We didn't want it to be totally double-team city, right, for him without Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Now people are going to have to pay attention to what Kupp does because they didn't really have a tight end that you're going to look at too much here. So I think this whole offense is ascending. Again, we'll see what we get from Sam Darnold. He doesn't have to be great. He just needs to facilitate these guys, right? Because I'm not focused on drafting Sam Darnold. I want to see if he's going to get the ball to these two guys. And I think the offense basically is going to go through three guys, Kenneth Walker and these two guys. And I expect Kupp to be well behind JSN in targets. So I love it. I mean, JSN has got the alpha, or they wouldn't make the move to get rid of Metcalf and Lockett. They're ready to believe in him as a number one. He's the first-round pick. He was the first receiver drafted in his class. They know his talent. That's why they got Clint Kubiak and Darnold to make use of them.
Yeah, and he is a really good talent. He's perfectly talented enough to be the top wide receiver on a team and the top target. And yeah, I didn't bring up Cooper Kupp. Honestly, it's like I don't even care about Cooper Kupp being there. But you're right. I don't think it hurts JSN. I think if anything, it helps because defenses still have to be somewhat prepared to stop Cooper Kupp if he can be healthy and on the field. But I do kind of think Cooper Kupp's days of like stealing targets and all that are kind of gone. So JSN, he had 137 targets last year, and that was playing with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I don't think a 160, 170 is out of the question for him at all. It just depends on how, not bad Sam Darnold can be. That's basically what it comes down to. We have two more winners following free agency, one running back, one wide receiver. We will reveal those right after a quick break.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right, let's continue today's show talking about the biggest winners following free agency. Our number 5 winner for the moment, and I do think he could be one that gets hurt after the draft, but it's Chase Brown of the Bengals. Right now, he still clearly owns that backfield. We saw what he did last year. I mean, on the season, he was the running back 16 in points per game at 14.3 points per game, but he didn't really get to take over that backfield until the second half. And that second half of the year, really, he was one of the most, he was a great fantasy asset to have. Now it's worked out for him, right? This free agency, but there really wasn't any good running backs for them to sign anyways. I didn't expect them to go out and grab one. I will, if you're rooting for Chase Brown to have this job next year, I do think you're going to be having to hold your breath pretty hard during the draft.
Yeah, but one good thing that did happen, they actually did pick up somebody. It was kind of a minor move, but they brought Samaje Perine back. And where was Samaje Perine there before in Cincinnati? He was the clear backup to Joe Mixon. So they realized, look, we tried out Zach Moss. He has got a really concerning injury. I think they wanted to push Chase Brown a little bit to see what he could do. And then it kind of fell into their favor where, unfortunately, Moss went down and they had to give the backfield to Chase Brown. But the history of the Zach Taylor backfield, whether Callahan has been there or not, leaving for Tennessee, is basically the one guy, right? We've seen a lot of Mixon, and you'll bring in somebody who can do something that Mixon can do, like catch passes, right? Perine could do that. So that is an indication to me that they're not too worried, right? And they want to put this guy into a position for a heavy workload. And that's what they've done. I mean, the history says they like one back. I mean, last year we thought, okay, I think it was seemingly different, right? When they were bringing in Moss, and we thought Moss and Brown were going to form a committee. But at the end, I think they wanted to trust Moss and bring Chase Brown a little bit slowly in that maybe that Perine role, but it didn't play out that way, and it was probably for the better because they got an explosive young back in there And I think they believe in him. So the history of the Bengals says that Brown is the guy now, and they'll just go forward with him with 20 plus touches on average per game. He's a good receiver, and he's a good finisher in the red zone. So I don't think they miss anything, and they also don't want to have anything telegraphed in this passing game. So when you bring in that kind of that power versus receiving back, then people kind of know what you might be doing. But here, Brown can do everything, so that helps. I think an underrated part also is the fact that they don't have to worry about Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So these guys are out there stretching the field, opening things up for the underneath passing game. They also brought back Mike Gesicki, not a great blocker, but they're trying to keep all the guys back together with Joe Burrow. That's an indication to me they liked exactly what they did offensively last year. Don't really want to change much. Go fix the defense, make it a little bit more complimentary. So I think it's a big four here. I don't know what you're going to get from Gesicki. He might just get a few touchdowns, but really this offense is Chase, Higgins, Brown, and everyone else is on this offense, just trying to pick up the rest of the production.
It is fair point that like they have so many needs on defense. They could be just using all of their draft picks on that. And they might say, hey, we just paid up for our 2 wide receivers. We gave him the tight end and Mike Gesicki. We've paid Joe Burrow. Like we don't also need to give him a great running back, right? Like we can go cheap with Chase Brown. We don't need to spend a top 3 round pick on a running back. We need to spend that on defense. So that's a very fair point. And I guess like that probably is a smart way for them to go. And if Chase Brown is going to have this role this next year, it's going to be, I mean, he's going to be a great pick, right? From weeks 9 through 18, he averaged 18.3 points per game. That was only behind Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, and Josh Jacobs during that time. So yeah, if he gets this job, and now I was worried about the draft, but then once I heard you talk, I'm like, yeah, you're kind of right. Like, why would they waste one of those early picks?
I mean, we'll see. That? Yeah. I think they could add somebody late, right? I mean, we'll see how it plays out, but that just tells me they don't really care if Moss is healthy. And so sad for him because we liked him, because we thought he would be that guy, right? That they would put him in the Joe Mixon role, but it didn't happen. And unfortunately for him, Chase Brown was ready to take that job and go running with it. So a lot of good stuff there. Now we have one more winner that we need to bring up here. And it's, again, a sneaky one that you might not think about, but it's Courtland Sutton of the Broncos. Now, they did make one move, right? I think it was a sneaky move, but bringing in Evan Ingram at tight end. Now, everyone thinks Ingram could be a big part, and he's back to fantasy ways. I'm not looking at it that way. I'm looking at, here's another weapon, but it's not a wide receiver, right? And we've seen Ingram coexist with Christian Kirk. Both had big fantasy seasons together in Jacksonville. So I love Courtland Sutton here, Michelle, because, again, they want to treat him like the number one. They didn't go out and get one of these veterans. They could have picked any of these guys, right, to go and sign as a complimentary receiver. They didn't do that. So they believe in Sutton as the number one. Maybe they believe in like Marvin Mims and some of these other guys to step up a little bit, Troy Franklin, right? But this says that Chase Sutton is the clear alpha, not competing another veteran, and has a guy in the middle of the field that can take some attention away from him.
Do you know who was the second most targeted player on the Broncos last year?
That's a tough question. I'm going to say it's Javonte Williams. Somehow.
It was at 70 targets, and Courtland Sutton had 135. That is wild that Javonte Williams couldn't even be fantasy relevant, even though he was the second highest targeted player on his team. But he's also, I mean, they got rid of him, right? So the second most targeted guy now is gone. Courtland Sutton had 80 more targets than any other Broncos wide receiver last year. And they, like you said, they haven't really made a move for a wide receiver. They did add Evan Ingram, and he could, maybe get a bunch of targets. But Courtland Sutton right now is sitting pretty. And for him to already be able to score 8 receiving touchdowns with Bo Nix as a rookie, like you just don't typically get that out of a wide receiver with a rookie. So definitely good for him. We'll see if they use an early draft pick on a wide receiver, but so far it's looking great for Courtland Sutton. That is it for today's episode. I want to thank you all for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen every day. We will be back on Monday. I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Bye, y'all.